Okay, let's talk about something. It's an emotion that is incredibly difficult to bring up, but one that touches every single one of us. Shame. You can think of it as this secret weight that we all carry, and it can affect everything: our work, our relationships, even our biggest dreams. So, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to really think about it. What truth do you carry inside? We all have one. On the outside, things might look totally fine, perfect even. But inside, there's often this heavy feeling we try our best to keep hidden. And this is just a brilliant way to describe what that feels like. Shame is like crumbs you frantically swept under the rug. It's a secret truth, and only you know it's there. But every time someone gets a little too close or steps on that rug, your heart just starts pounding, right? What if they see? What if the truth comes out? So, what is shame, really? Well, psychologists define it as this deeply uncomfortable feeling we get when we see ourselves as fundamentally flawed, or worthless, or just unacceptable. Sometimes that's in the eyes of other people, but a lot of the time, it's just in our own. Now, this next part is absolutely crucial because we often get shame mixed up with a totally different emotion. So let's start by separating shame from its close cousin, guilt. What's so fascinating here is how simple this distinction is, but man, its impact is profound. Guilt says, I did something bad. It's all about a behavior, an action. But shame says, I am bad. It attacks our entire identity. The whole problem is hidden right there, in that tiny, tiny shift in language. And that core belief that I am bad, it creates these destructive ripples all through our lives. It's that voice that whispers that you don't really deserve love, or that your achievements, the things you worked so hard for, don't really count. It's the feeling that you're somehow failing at life because you're not living the way you should be. These are all just echoes of shame. So, where does a feeling this powerful and this painful even come from? I mean, it doesn't just appear out of thin air. Let's take a look at how these feelings start to grow, and it often begins when we're very young. I love this analogy. Think of it like a garden. As kids, we're constantly picking up on cues from the world around us. A tiny little seed of shame can get planted when a mistake we make or a need we have is met not with understanding, but with rejection, or sometimes even just silence. Over time, these little seeds grow into the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what we're worth. But here's the crucial part. This garden is your garden. You have the power to plant different seeds. And that brings us to the most hopeful part of this whole discussion. Because, understanding shame is one thing, but how do we actually begin to transform it? How do we move from that dark place into the light? Let's look at a really cool example from pop culture. The animated movie K-pop Demon Hunters is super fun and vibrant, but it has this surprisingly deep message. The moment you stop running from your shame is the exact moment you start to take its power away. So, in the movie, one of the main characters has to face these huge sources of shame, feeling different, blaming herself for hurting other people, and that deep fear of letting her fans down. And while our shame might not literally show up on our bodies like it does for her, we all know how much energy it takes to hide those exact kinds of feelings. The movie points to a solution, and what's amazing is that it's the same one that researchers and therapists have identified as the single most powerful antidote to shame. It's not about being stronger or tougher on your own. It's all about connection. But here's the problem, right? We live in this culture that just celebrates fierce independence. Needing someone else for comfort, for help, for understanding, that's often seen as a weakness. So instead of reaching out when we're hurting the most, we pull away. We disappear. And this isn't just a vague feeling, it's a behavior we can actually measure. Research shows that about 2 out of every 10 people admit to ghosting someone, just silently disappearing from a relationship. It's a very modern and very real symptom of this shame-driven disconnection. And this behavior has real consequences. Just look at the data. The impact on the person who gets ghosted is huge. Nearly half of them feel discouraged, a ton of them lose confidence, and over a third become more cautious in their next relationships. You see, shame creates disconnection, and that disconnection just creates more pain. So, the crucial takeaway here is this. We have to completely flip the script. Genuine, true connection actually requires us to need each other. Saying I miss you, or I'm sorry, or I don't know how to fix this isn't weakness.
That's the stuff that empowers you. It's the very thing that strengthens your bond.
The researcher Brené Brown put it perfectly with this unforgettable line. Shame cannot survive in the presence of empathy. See, shame thrives in secrecy and silence and judgment. It's like a mushroom that grows in the dark. But the moment you share your story with someone who responds with understanding, with empathy, its power just begins to dissolve. Empathy is like sunlight to the shadows of shame.
So I'll leave you with this thought. Overcoming shame isn't about becoming invincible and going it all alone. It's about realizing we were never meant to. So who is that one person, that one safe person you could share your truth with?